Who are the people we need to just kick out of society? Let's find out, starting with number 5. Super lies exposed. Jack Watkin, a self-proclaimed rich kid of Instagram who bragged about owning a 1.7 million pound fleet of supercars, was exposed for being a big, fat liar. When he made these claims, he was a 17-year-old kid who had said he owns 7 luxurious sports cars, including 2 Mercedes-Benzes, a Range Rover Vogue, and a Porsche. Of course, he eventually backtracked, admitting that most of the cars belonged to other family members. Jack wanted to be like the British Kardashians, living a billionaire lifestyle funded by his father, but eventually confessed that his dad doesn't own a private jet, and the Porsche featured in promotional photos actually belongs to his mother. Like a total peasant. Seriously, how embarrassing that his dad doesn't even own a jet. The revelations came out after an interview where Watkin bragged about enjoying designer shopping sprees, going on vacations to exotic destinations on a private jet, and flaunting an ostentatious lifestyle. Although Jack insists he still owns 3 cars, he admitted none are registered in his name. Which means you don't own them, Jack. Furthermore, he now attributes his billionaire lifestyle to an unspecified family inheritance, which is way different than what he originally was saying about his dad being a successful real estate agent funding the lifestyle. The revelations came out during growing skepticism about the authenticity of Jack's claims. One of his friends said Jack often uses stock images on Instagram to project a life far grander than reality. And while the family does have some luxury possessions, the extravagant claims made by Jack are largely unfounded, according to the friend, who apparently isn't really a friend and has a big mouth. Seriously, what friend does that? Is the friend one of the mean girls or something? Jack claims that he doesn't care about public opinions and that people will always try to bring him down, which is what people tend to do when you brag too much and lie a lot, Jack. But the teenager's braggy posts on Instagram featuring designer watches and shopping bags and hashtags like rich kids of Instagram have earned him a lot of criticism and mockery, despite Jack's insistence that he doesn't care. And while Jack maintains that he can spend up to £15,000 in a single designer shopping spree, his mother lives in a 3-bed semi-detached home worth around £480,000, and his father, Jason, who's a real estate agent operations director, lives in a £600,000 home. So they're not exactly living in shacks, but it's a pretty far cry from the image Jack was trying to project of this hyper-wealthy family. And while there are a few things more obnoxious than a teenager who comes from inherited wealth, we need to remember that he was just a kid at that time, and kids say and do dumb things. Who knows? Maybe getting a dose of embarrassment in a public way will do him a bit of good. And let this be another reminder that what we see online very seldom matches reality. Number 4. Selling influence. An amateur influencer attempted to extort $500 and a complimentary meal from Tilly Jane's, a sports bar located in Hood River, Oregon. The influencer, known as Sofia, initially left a seemingly ordinary 3-star review for the establishment, praising aspects like service and onion rings, while criticizing items such as corn dogs and the chicken sandwich. However, Sofia didn't stop there. In a private message to the bar owner, Laurel, Virginia, she suggested a payment of $500 and a free meal for a group of 4 in exchange for updating the review. Laurel, the head chef and owner, was quick to call out Sofia's attempt at extortion and shared the message with the internet, exposing the influencer's scheme. Laurel, who had turned the bar's fortunes around with a significant improvement in ratings, responded to Sofia's proposal by pointing out the blatant blackmail and reported the incident to local authorities, which is a bit much, but we get it. Despite the potential legal implications, Laurel emphasized her lack of time for such nonsense. The story gained traction online, with everyone growing irritated with self-important influencers like Sofia. Laurel said that Sofia had left similar reviews with other businesses in town, some of which succumbed to the pressure and updated their reviews, highlighting the negative impact such behavior can have on small businesses in tourist towns. As for Tilly Janes, Laurel remained committed to maintaining the positive trajectory she's worked hard to establish. The influencer's attempt at manipulation didn't go unnoticed, and the small town's close-knit community played a role in spreading awareness about Sofia and her dumb attitude. Laurel says that she hasn't heard back from Sofia since her public response, assuming she's probably embarrassed from the exposure. We would absolutely like to kick out any influencers who prioritize a few dollars over honest opinions. Be sure to stay right here for our past release to find out just how entitled this influencer was to think she could get hotels for free. Number 3, eating the cake and have it too. In a legal battle that unfolded from a seemingly unconventional relationship, a sugar baby took her sugar daddy to court, claiming harassment and seeking a restraining order after their arrangement took an unexpected turn. Shawdy Kiani, who was a college student at the University of Minnesota at the time, met her sugar daddy, John Huha, who was in his 30s at that time, on Seeking Arrangement. In case you didn't know, it's an online platform known for facilitating sugar daddy type relationships. Their connection led to a 4-month-long, long-distance relationship filled with vacations funded by Huha, including trips to Miami Beach and Minnehaha Falls and Minneapolis, as shown on their social media. But the relationship took a turn when Kiani became uncomfortable with the amount of time Huha wanted to spend with her. After meeting in person, he started talking about a more traditional relationship, even suggesting they could be together if she attended dental school in his city. Kiani, not too keen on the idea, suggested a formal sugar baby, sugar daddy arrangement instead, suggesting they meet twice a month with financial support in exchange. During a spring break trip to Miami, the disparity in their expectations became evident when Huha, seeking a deeper connection with Kiani, aimed for a more transactional relationship. Feeling uncomfortable and possibly recognizing the implications of their encounters, she decided to end things between the two because of some concerns about the nature of their initial encounter. After their trip, Huha started posting romantic photos of the pair on Instagram, creating a page solely dedicated to their pretend relationship. This move exposed Kiani's identity as a sugar baby to her conservative family, causing her quite a few personal problems. In response, Kiani sought a restraining order to force Huha to remove the posts and cease contact. Then, allegations of unwanted physical contact were also made, but the court found Kiani's claims not credible. The court did acknowledge a minor degree of harassment related to Instagram posts and granted a 2-month restraining order. However, an appeals court later affirmed the district court's decision, pointing to Kiani's lack of credibility and failure to demonstrate how the photos damaged her relationships or interfered with her privacy. The court ruled that there wasn't any truth to her claims and that the harassment was of a minor degree. The thing is, Kiani was pretty clear about her expectations from the beginning, expressing a desire for a transactional relationship. However, she also admitted to wanting to be Huha's escort without the baggage associated with being a sugar baby. On the other hand, Huha, despite wanting a deeper connection, continued pursuing the relationship despite clear misalignment in their expectations. However, he did post intimate photos on social media after the relationship ended, which was seen as some low-level harassment. Both parties played a role in the breakdown of their arrangement, and any negative posts on social media would have consequences for both. So, in our opinion, no one is clearly right or wrong here. He pushed for stuff she didn't want and should have known what he was getting when he went on the site, and she lied about their encounters, likely led him on, and took his money just the same. Who's the bad guy here? Tell us in the comments below. Number 2, the non-sweet sugar baby. Former exotic dancer Jennifer Morrissey was found guilty of, let's call it, the disposal of her 65-year-old sugar daddy, Michael McNew. Morrissey was trying to cash in on his $362,000 life insurance policy, where she was listed as the beneficiary. Prosecutors said that Morrissey had premeditated the crime and that her actions were deliberate. They said that she rode her motorcycle to McNew's home, snuck in while he slept, and ended his life at point-blank range. The motive motive, according to the prosecution, was her financial gain through the life insurance policy. Morrissey, however, said the tragic passing was accidental and that it happened during a struggle with her emotionally abusive lover. Her defense painted a picture of a vulnerable woman, a high school dropout, suffering from PTSD and depression, engaging in an abusive and inappropriate relationship with McNew. The defense argued that McNew had exerted control over Morrissey by buying her things, describing him as her sugar daddy. The relationship began in 2014 when McNew, a pharmaceutical company sales manager, met Morrissey at the club where she worked. Despite her struggles, the two bonded over motorcycles, and McNew started supporting her financially. The arrangement strained McNew's relationship with his adult children, who disapproved of Morrissey for obvious reasons. As their relationship unraveled, McNew discovered Morrissey's involvement with a motorcycle gang member, prompting a heated exchange of more than 90 threatening text messages. The prosecution argued that Morrissey left McNew's house after his passing, returning the next day to stage a robbery, further complicating the crime scene. She buried McNew's belongings in her current boyfriend's backyard and messaged him on Facebook to create an appearance of innocence. The jury found Morrissey guilty of her crimes. Despite her claims of his manipulation and her acts of self-defense, the court wasn't buying what Morrissey was trying to sell, and she was sentenced to life in prison. Like the story before this, no one here is a winner. McNew alienated himself from his family and lost his life, and Morrissey had enough demons of her own and ended up ruining the rest of her life. Number 1. Real estate agent got fired for calling everyone peasants. Amy Therese Marsh, a top-performing real estate agent at Ray White Aspley, a well-known Australian real estate brand similar to Coldwell Banker, faced termination after making derogatory remarks about renters on a local Facebook group. Remember when Paris Hilton wore that "Stop Being Poor" shirt back when she was relevant and everyone flipped out? Marsh basically did that, but way after Paris. Marsh, using her professional Facebook page of all things, belittled tenants, calling them a disgrace and irrelevant. She took a dig at renters who didn't own homes in Griffin, where she worked, with a laughing emoji for added emphasis. These stupid comments were promptly deleted, but not before they caught the attention of social media users. In response to someone suggesting that tenants were nobodies, Marsh, using her personal Facebook page now, probably just to make it easier to trace the comments back to her, responded by insinuating that they probably earned $50,000 a year and were envious of her. She went further to claim that she paid twice their wage in taxes, or possibly even covered their Centrelink wages. Centrelink basically being Australia's social security, and showing off a disdainful attitude towards those who chose to rent instead of owning property. Ray White obviously fired Marsh immediately after discovering her offensive comments and publicly denounced her views, emphasizing that they didn't align with the value of their business. Which you'd expect. Wouldn't it be super weird if Ray White was like, "Yeah, we think tenants are poor losers. Marsh speaks for the entire company. Everyone is really envious of her wealth." Marsh's professional profiles were promptly removed from the company website, and her once active professional Facebook page was also deleted. Ironically, Marsh, who was named Agent of the Month for achieving $3.7 million in sales, had become a new homeowner herself, purchasing a 3-bedroom unit in Griffin in March for approximately $400,000. Which again, it's not a shack, but it's also not the type of house you'd expect someone who is making comments like that to live in. In a world where referrals and positive client relationships are paramount in the real estate business, Marsh's little social media comment fest seems really dumb, like even dumber than dumb. And in this day and age, with times being tougher than ever, the nerve of someone to trash those less fortunate, especially when that someone really isn't all that wealthy, is the exact type of person that this society no longer needs. Who are a few of the most entitled people? Let's get right to it with number 6, the classic influencer versus hotel. A Dublin hotel owner banned social media influencers after Elle Darby asked to stay at the hotel for free in exchange for publicity. Darby, who had 80,000 followers, outraged Paul Stenson, the owner of Dublin's White Moose Cafe, when she asked for a free stay in exchange for promotional vlogs and Instagram updates. Stenson posted his feelings about the situation on Facebook, asking who would pay the staff that looked after the influencer. He also said that rather than receiving payment, he should just allow staff to be featured in Darby's video instead, demonstrating that he clearly doesn't understand social media. Although Stenson didn't mention Darby by name, he attached a screenshot of her email, the only mature thing he did while handling this. In the email, Darby claimed she stayed for free at Universal Studios, which was a great business decision for the theme park. They were probably suffering until Darby's rescue. Online users identified Darby as the influencer in Stenson's post, prompting her to make a video to explain her side of the story. Darby Dramatics complained about Stenson's cruel treatment and claimed he stole her dreams. Darby said she was embarrassed and humiliated by the whole ordeal. The video received 240,000 views. Members of the blogging community supported her and called out Stenson as being unprofessional. Stenson proved his critics right by posting a spoof video on YouTube that mocked influencers like Darby and gave a false apology. He sarcastically said that he should have thought about influencers more. He then added that the more people speak about the hotel to their followers, the more people would hear about the hotel and its brand, demonstrating that he doesn't really understand marketing either. Stenson decided to ban influencers from the business since he was probably inundated with them and their sense of entitlement was too strong. He posted on Facebook that he didn't want to deal with the nastiness and drama of working with bloggers. He further warned that you just can't trust influencers since they'll say anything they're paid to, which is totally different from regular advertising where you can trust everything. There's nothing more special than a grown man bickering with an entitled teenager online over a hotel stay, right? Number 5. The DoorDash Devil. A DoorDash driver refused to give a man his food when he only tipped her $8 because this queen knows her worth. In Ring camera footage, the driver yelled at the man for the low tip after she went on a 12.5-mile trip to deliver the food. She said he must not have realized how far she went to get the food, which is obviously something he should have been worrying about. The woman explained it took her 40 minutes to drive from Smithtown to Commack, Long Island. The customer said it should have only taken 15 to 20 minutes, needlessly carrying on the argument. Not that we would have been better, but still, always be careful when arguing with an idiot. The woman demanded that he do the drive to see how long it took, which is stupid for a variety of reasons. The guy then said he didn't understand the issue, saying he gave her an $8 tip, which is pretty good. She demanded that he adjust the tip, which he did not. She then threatened to return the food, not thinking how long it would take her to return it, and began to walk away from the doorstep. The man posted the video to YouTube where people slammed the driver. Some called for DoorDash to fire her, and others found her attitude shocking. It seems she must have forgotten that she signed up to be a driver. It's not like the guy called her up asking for a favor. Number 4. No easy pickoff. Anthony Bass heavily criticized United Airlines after a flight attendant allegedly made his pregnant wife get on the floor to clean up the mess his young 2-year-old daughter made. At the time, Bass played for the Blue Jays and made $3 million in just one season. He had made 73 total appearances in his previous season with the Marlins and Blue Jays and had a 1.5 ERA with 73 strikeouts in 70.5 innings. If you don't understand baseball stuff, the guy was pretty decent. In his MLB career, he's pitched for the Astros, Padres, Cubs, Mariners, Rangers, and Marlins. Someone with such a high profile was bound to get a lot of attention when he tweeted about how the flight attendant forced his wife to clean up after their daughter. Bass expressed outrage that his pregnant wife, who was traveling with their 5- and 2-year-old kids, had to get on the floor to pick up popcorn after his youngest spilled it. Bass's rant wasn't met with the sympathy he expected. When a user asked him who he expected to clean up his children's mess, he said it should be up to the cleaning crew who are paid to clean the plane when everyone leaves. Another reminded him, since he had so much money, he should have a maid travel with him and his family. The user also accused him of being the reason why people had to pay more for airline tickets and that he needed to take responsibility and not raise his children to blame others for their mess. It sounds like Bass was fishing for some sympathy, but no one took the bait. Number 3. The most deserving. Serene Warren took legal action against her estranged family to get more access to their billion-dollar fortune. Warren's father, Ken Evestad, bought Upshur Smith Pharmaceutical Company in 1969. Over the years, and with the help of his son Mark, he turned the organization into a $1.1 billion giant. Unlike his children, Evestad had humble beginnings. He trained as a pharmacist before purchasing the pharma firm $1,500. The firm expanded over the years, and its growth accelerated when Evestad's son Mark took over as CEO in 2000. 2004. Mark had quadrupled the company's value by the time the firm sold in 2017. Warren was furious at her brother's earnings from the sale and felt entitled to more money than she received as a result. 3 years before the sale in 2014, Evestad rewarded Mark for his hard work by giving him extra stock. Warren thought it was unfair that her brother received the additional stock, but it was just the beginning of the bad blood between the two. Warren eventually cut off all communications with her family in 2016, and by 2017, when the firm sold, she wanted to sell the firm as well to establish financial independence. Warren had owned 25% of the organization at the time, valued at $250 million. Despite being a stay-at-home mom and the massive growth the company experienced under Mark's leadership, Warren was furious that her father and brother made over $75 million in bonuses. Although Warren had received over $328 million throughout her life from her parents, she decided to sue her family in 2018 over the bonuses. She argued that the amount her father and brother received reduced the firm's value and her stake in it. And why shouldn't she get more money for the work she did not do and had nothing to do with? An independent auditor disagreed with Warren, finding the bonuses were fair and that given their impact on the pharmaceutical company, they had been underpaid for years. So Warren entered a 5-year legal battle with her father and brother. Even her father, battling a terminal illness, wasn't enough to make Warren drop the case. This story is all the more heartbreaking because while he was very close with his son, who followed in his father's footsteps, Evestad still very much doted on his daughter Serene. He even named his celebrated vineyard in Oregon and popular tourist destination, Domaine Serene, after her. Tension continued when Evestad passed away in 2020 at the age of 77. Warren lived with her family in a $3 million 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom mansion. Her husband Chris hadn't had a job since 2004. Judge Ken Wall highlighted in court that the couple's career decisions meant they didn't have the necessary business skills and knowledge that Mark, Evestad, and Warren's mother, Grace, had. The judge failed to find proof that Warren's estranged family defrauded her, but acknowledged that it was understandable why some decisions caused her frustration. He also pointed out that any disappointment Warren felt over missing out on her massive inheritance and hundreds of millions in shareholder distributions would be due to her decisions during the litigation process. While the family offered her a $150 million settlement, she chose to take the issue to court. In 2023, the judge awarded her a fraction of that amount at $41 million. He also ordered that she cover her legal fees. Serene must have never heard the story of the greedy monkey who was trying to grab too many nuts out of the jar. It's crazy how, after 2,500 years, Aesop is still relevant. Number 2. A swift scam. TikToker Marissa Lafata slammed SeatGeek, who she accused of scamming her out of Taylor Swift tickets. Listen to the story and then give your opinion. The influencer, known on TikTok as Marissa Bella, told her 900,000 followers about how she was scammed. However, according to SeatGeek, she didn't tell the whole story. Lafata purchased 4 tickets for Swift's Eras tour from a woman on Facebook, and the seller transferred the $500 tickets to SeatGeek. Sites like StubHub and SeatGeek sold tickets to the highly anticipated Eras tour for over $2,200. And scammers took full advantage of fans looking for cheap tickets. Lafata emailed SeatGeek after she accepted the tickets to confirm they were legitimate. When the site confirmed the seats were valid, she flew from Florida to New Jersey for the show, bringing her young children for the trip. When she arrived at the East Rutherford Arena, workers told her and her friends that someone had scammed them. Lafata repeatedly called SeatGeek to see if they could give her and her friends other seats, even in the nosebleed section, to compensate for the situation. She claimed she called 50 times and that they repeatedly hung up or pretended they couldn't hear her. Lafata took to TikTok to broadcast her ordeal, claiming the website scammed her and threatened that it would get canceled. SeatGeek reached out to Lafata directly and offered her a $500 credit. She responded that there was nowhere to buy a ticket for that price on their website. Then they offered her $5,000, which still wouldn't cover 4 Taylor Swift tickets. In her rant, she said that the ticket provider kept offering less than they would need to buy new tickets, meaning they would still have to put in their own money if they wanted to go. Another ticket platform, TickPick, gave Lafata and her friends 3 floor tickets for an upcoming show. She updated SeatGeek to say that TickPick gave her tickets, and SeatGeek responded that they could send her some too. Lafata demanded the $2,000 back she had paid for the original 4 tickets. With the publicity the incident received, SeatGeek made a statement where they clarified that Lafata bought the tickets through social media and not directly on their site. However, they did acknowledge that their customer service agent thought Lafata was a SeatGeek customer even though the tickets were fraudulent. So, who is at fault here? Lafata didn't buy the tickets through SeatGeek, but they did verify the validity of the ticket. Did she take enough reasonable steps to ensure she wasn't being scammed? Was SeatGeek actually responsible here? Number 1. The road jumped out. Christina Chambers, the wealthy wife of a Texas trader, tried to blame the road's conditions when she hit a pedestrian while driving intoxicated. After meeting on OkCupid, Joseph McMullen was on a first date with Brianna Ichirino. It was a Tuesday night, although they initially discussed meeting on a Friday, as there was a karaoke event that Tuesday. To us, that sounds like a bad idea for a first date, since we definitely can't sing, but good on Joseph for diving in, right? The couple spent the evening singing karaoke and planned to end it at a nearby donut store. McMullen asked Ichirino if she wanted to drive, but they decided to walk as it was a pleasant evening and their destination wasn't far. The two were walking on the sidewalk when they noticed a car flying down a narrow road. Although Ichirino contemplated hopping into the parking lot they walked alongside, everything happened too quickly to act. Christina Chambers was driving her Porsche so quickly that she missed an upcoming curve and hit McMullen. The force of the luxury car threw his body 30 feet from the wreckage. People came to McMullen's aid while Ichirino called 911, who told her to perform CPR as he had a very faint pulse at the time. When emergency crews arrived, he passed away. Chambers hit a post and broke her leg and clavicle. She had a male passenger in the vehicle who didn't suffer any serious injuries. Officers arrested Chambers for driving under the influence. She arrived at her court date in a wheelchair, still recovering from the injuries she sustained in the crash. Her lawyer, Mark Thiessen, said she wasn't guilty because of the poor road conditions on Houston streets rather than the fact that she drove 100 miles per hour while intoxicated. You have to wonder how ridiculous he felt actually saying that after someone passed away. Although Chambers told the police that she drank one beer hours before the accident, she had 4 times the legal limit in her system at the time of the crash. They also found traces of Adderall and another illegal powdery stimulant. Thiessen stated that his client, who lived in a $1.5 million home, was unemployed and relied on her husband as her sole provider. Life must be rough for her. The judge set her bond at $50,000 and prohibited her from driving unless she got a job. She also had to install a landline at her home to ensure she abided by those conditions. Click to watch one of these next videos. Let us know in the comments section what you would rather have: free soda for life or free beer for life.